Fawcent Tejon 23. And this first topic, I'd like to say this is not a viewpoint of me or you, but of a colleague on podcasts. He's been on with us before. He's all over Facebook, and when he's in person, will not stop saying that Trump is a dictator. I think that is a wild accusation, and that is very asinine to say. But he's not alone in saying this. But his points on Facebook are he wanted to take over Greenland. He wants to take over Cuba. He wants to get rid of terms so he can always be president. But this is also the guy that said we have to help out Ukraine to beat Russia, or Russia will take over the whole world. So he's got a lot of crazy viewpoints. We haven't had him on in a while, but is Trump a dictator?
I don't believe he's a dictator.
I don't even think it's close.
No, I don't believe so at all. Whenever we talk about the issue with Greenland, Trump has a very unique way of going about negotiations because he states something that he likes. Now, the deal with Greenland is Russia, yes, is being a little more abrasive, and Russia tends to do it whenever there are Democrats in office. Now, if we go back on the timeline, Russia annexed Crimea in, 2014? Who was president in 2014? Oh, that was Barack Obama. What was our response? Hey, don't do that. Don't expand that war anymore. Right? Trump gets elected 2016 to 2020. And what's Russia do? Nothing. No aggression whatsoever. Right? Biden gets into office. All of a sudden, you got a full-scale war in Ukraine. Trump gets back into office. Now, this war is still raging, but we've been funding a proxy war, sending billions of dollars over there for months upon months upon months until people finally said, hey, we're 30 trillion in debt, 35 trillion. We're approaching 40 trillion in debt now, and we keep sending money over there that's no benefit to us, right? So Greenland is a strategic spot for North America, right? It's a way for us to see incoming missiles if there's ever some kind of nuclear attack or ballistic attack. I mean, we're in a different age where Russia now has hypersonic missiles. Those are not easy to shoot down. It requires a different technology. So whenever it comes to the national security concerns, yes, Greenland is very, very strategic, but Trump also has this way about him where he's very blusterous at the beginning. He states he wants something. Whenever people push back against it, he says, all right, I'll just take it. Well, now all of a sudden you got to come to the negotiating table because he's such a wild card. You don't know what he's going to do next, right? This has been a staple in his negotiating tactics since he's come into the business side of things. He gets very abrasive very quickly, and then whenever you come to your senses and see that, hey, he's either going to do something crazy or I can sit down and talk to him, it brings people to the table. Now, there's a lot of rational people that have broken down the way Trump does business and can see this very clearly. But to the people who aren't political minded or not business minded, whenever it's strictly ideological minded, all of a sudden it sends you through the roof. And whenever Trump does things like this is why people with what we call TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, they absolutely go bonkers and they say the most irrational shit like Trump's a dictator. Okay? No, listen, this is a negotiating tactic that he utilizes very successfully. He is not going to go in guns a-blazing just taking over Greenland. He's going to say some crazy stuff, and then he's going to sit down at the table once you come to your senses, right? Venezuela, what'd we do? You have an actual dictator down there in Maduro. He has been indicted by the Department of Justice. He's a criminal. all the neighbors didn't like Maduro, but they had to deal with him because he had power. He's got an army. He's got a lot of guns. He's a narco-terrorist. He's importing a fuck ton of drugs into this country, right? We went down and snapped him out. We just snatched him right up. None of our soldiers died. Delta Force did an amazing job. We didn't lose any people. Nobody got wounded. We didn't lose any pieces of equipment. They put him on a ship. They brought him back, and now he's in a prison in New York. Okay? Works very well. So, who was Maduro's ally in the Western Hemisphere? It was Cuba. Cuba actually sent soldiers over to protect Maduro. Cuba provided a lot of intelligence to Maduro because they only sit 90 miles off of Key West. Right? They can hear a lot of stuff. They have telecommunications that spy on us. They are a spy network in Cuba. Why not get rid of that spy network that's detrimental to the national security of the United States? It makes sense. Is that dictator shit? No. That is for our protection. Fidel Castro, the Castro brothers, have never been good down there. And look at that country. They're still living in the 1960s down there. Their electrical grid is failing every other day. Because now they can't get Venezuelan oil. You know? Why not go down there and remove those people? I don't care if they become part of the United States or if they become an autonomous country.
Trump has put those neighborhoods in the dark on a daily basis.
Oh, Trump has.
Yeah,
Trump has.
Yep.
Does Trump run the electrical grid?
Yes.
He does? He's president of Evergy down there?
Yeah.
Man, he's doing an awesome job.
Well, and in the same way as people think, now, does a president have an effect on gas prices?
He can, to an extent. I mean, we look at what's going on over in Iran with the Strait of Hormuz. Mm-hmm. You know, that's because those are OPEC countries in that area. They dictate the price of gas. Yeah. Now, we may be what we call energy independent, but our gas prices are not mandated by energy independence here. They're mandated by world supply, supply and demand, right? The world price is what our price is at the pump. Now, for some nations, it's higher. Some nations, it's lower. But, once again, anytime...
Hey, Trump promised an awesome economy.
He did. Yeah. I feel like he's largely delivered on it. I know that there are forces that work against him that is somewhat out of his control. There are people that manipulate the market. So your Dow Jones and your NASDAQ and... You know, all those Wall Street types. Yeah, there's a lot of funky stuff that goes on there that he doesn't necessarily control, but he can control some monetary policy, but he can't right now because you have Jerome Powell at the head of the Fed.
So what are some other people that say Trump's a dictator? What are they saying?
Well, one of the things that I saw online was somebody had posted that his social media team posts pictures of him as a king, right? Not presidential. Now, I agree largely it's not presidential, but you also have to know who you're dealing with. Trump is a troll. He's going to troll the left. Do I get upset about him posting that? I know he's not a king. He'll never be a king. Trump knows he's never going to be a king. But he does that to trigger people, so you know who your enemy is, right? Other things, the elections. They're so worried about Trump saying, "Oh, we need to go in and clean up these elections." Listen, we know for a fact that there is funky shit that happens in a lot of big cities every time there's an election, especially federal elections. We saw it in Arizona. We saw it in Wisconsin. We saw it in Georgia. We saw ballots that a driver signed an affidavit to the FBI saying he took ballots from New York into Pennsylvania in order to sway votes. These things are illegal. Donald Trump's trying to clean it up, but because he's like, hey, we're going to clean up these elections. you're going to have people that come out with propaganda and say, oh, he's trying to steal elections. No, we know that there is malfeasance in every election. Whenever we start putting eyes on it and trying to clean up, the illegals and the dead people and the people who shouldn't be voting, they move from one district to another. There's a lot of crazy things that happen.
What about the people that says he's just staying in wars to get rid of terms so he can just keep going, so he can do another term?
Well, obviously Congress hasn't declared war, so if you want to get technical, no, we're not in a war.
Right. But the only time that has happened, it wasn't a Republican in place. It was a Democrat.
Oh, as far as staying in office? Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, you had Franklin Roosevelt that went all the way. He died in office in his 4th term. Shortly after he passed away, Congress passed an amendment, a constitutional amendment.
It's not a good argument. Since him, it has not happened. It will not happen.
No, it won't happen. Donald Trump, for a fact Donald Trump is not going to stay in office obviously he can't.
No.
He can't stay in office. He's not going to be on any ballot whatsoever in any state. So he's not going to stay there. The only way that he could stay there is if he declares martial law and suspends elections. Right? And who has done that? Ukraine did that. Their president over there, which I can't remember his name because he hasn't been in the news cycle a lot, he suspended elections. They haven't had an election in years. Years upon years upon years.
So, I'd like to get into just a list of dictators. And you tell me if Trump is, close to that or not. Of course, Adolf Hitler, responsible for World War II and the Holocaust.
Trump has not put anybody in gas chambers.
Stalin, Joseph Stalin, ruled the Soviet Union.
Trump has not executed any of his political enemies.
Zedong, Chinese Communist Party.
Mao killed 20 million Chinese through the Yellow Revolution or whatever it was called?
Yeah, famine.
Yeah.
Pol Pot,
yeah.
Cambodia. Mussolini.
He was your original fascist.
Yep. Francisco Franco, Spain. Right-wing dictator following the Spanish Civil War. Kim Sung, North Korean state creating a totalitarian dynastic regime. Saddam Hussein. I mean, are we? This is the same, right?
Right. Yeah, we're not remotely close to Saddam Hussein, Pol Pot,
Fidel Castro, Gaddafi. I mean, how would you say this? How would you say it's a dictatorship?